Good evening, Lewis.
Hello, Daniel. How are you?
I'm well. And a big hello to all of our new Patreon supporters, Lewis. You know how last week, Lewis, was a record-breaking week for our Patreon supporters?
Of course. I've already bought a Tesla. I've put a new wine cellar in the rental. I've really been dining out on those new Patreon subscribers.
Well, it's thanks to them. Like this week is even more. 14 new Patreon subscribers. Big thank you to Tria, Ryan, Kirsty Osborne, Professor Hilary Bambrick from the Climate Council, previous Fearmonger on the show, Lisette Salovich, Eleanor Booth, Dylan Joel, Matt Smith, Joseph Bays, Jacqueline Flynn, Jared Van Dijk, Trevelyan Gilmore, Megan Vello just signed on just moments before we started the broadcast, Mark Spencer from the Climate Collective, Kerry, who is only signing up for Gabby Bolt. She insists that, she insists we're okay, but Gabby Bolt is the real star of the show.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. We'll still take the money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of Gabby Bolt, she's going to be performing at our Melbourne International Comedy Festival show, April 11th. We're merely a week and a little bit away. We've sold over 100 seats, which means there's still 150 to go. Because
Easy.
We've
got a week.
Festival.
No one books comedy more than a week out, Dan.
No, that's true.
Relax.
I have a theory. Like, if we only sell 150 seats in the 250 seat venue, we can space everyone out and say it's COVID safe.
Yeah, anything's a sellout in 2021.
Speaking of selling out, I did a TVC this month. You might have seen me on TV. Sorry about that. Sometimes you got to make money. I'm recording my end of Irrational Fear on Gadigal land in the Eora Nation. Sovereignty was never ceded. We need a treaty. Let's start the show. Tonight, we finally unblock the sewers, but learn that our parliament is full of shits. And Australia has missed its COVID vaccine by 85%. The country hasn't messed up this much since landing on the beach at Gallipoli. And southeast Queensland comes out of a 3-day lockdown while northern New South Wales narrowly avoids an outbreak of blues and roots. It's the 2nd of April, 2021. We ain't no fools. This is Irrational Fear. Welcome to Irrational Fear. I'm your host, former Australian Financial Review senior political operative Dan Ilic. This is Irrational Fear, the podcast that takes the scariest news stories of the week and unwisely laughs in their face. Let's meet our fearmongers for tonight. Thanks to Brisbane lockdown, our first guest can now spend less time with stand-up comedy shows and spend more time with his beloved ride-on lawnmower. Zooming in from southeast Queensland, it's Mr. Hotspot himself, Craig Quatermaine.
Kaya, Wanju, good evening, everybody. And don't talk about Renee like that.
Renee, your ride-on lawnmower.
Renee.
When you first got a ride-on lawnmower, did you think, God, I've made it?
I did not want it in any way, and I did not want this amount of grass. And there's something that happens when you're in your late 30s and you look around and I mowed all that, and there's just this weird pride. And I just became obsessed. I became one of those guys. Did that World War II barbecuing or mowing your lawn, and I've got 2 of the 3 at the moment.
Craig, are you part of the Facebook group, the Australian Lawn Enthusiasts group?
No, I'm not. I'm missing out.
I'm going to send you this link. I followed them like 3 years ago for some dumb thing that we were doing on the radio, and for us, it was.
Bro, you live in a city. Why?
yeah. I grew up in the country. I grew up on a ride-on mower.
Fair enough.
But I don't need it now because I realized that they suck and it's work. So I'm trying to stay as far away from that life as possible. But you should get involved in this group. Sure. It's passionate.
I get it. I completely feel it. Absolutely. It was one of those things. I could never become one of those guys. Now it's trying to figure out how I can do an entire acre without backtracking. It's like Snake. It's like a massive game of Snake. Awesome.
Welcome back to the largest Lawns of Australia podcast. Our next guest has just hit a milestone of 8,000 Twitter followers. Was it her charm, her stand-up success, or maybe it was her constant tweets about the Suez Canal? It's Kirsty Webeck.
Hello. How you going?
Kirsty, welcome to the 8,000 Club. How does it feel to have 8,000 Twitter followers?
Oh, it's an immense amount of stress. Like, I think it would be rivaled only by Craig having to manage that amount of lawn.
and finally, it's the man that gives all up and yup. It's the man that all young up and coming radio broadcasters are calling the ever given of Triple J. It's Lewis Hobba.
That's true. I am too big, and no one can get rid of me.
Coming up a little later on, we'll be giving Kamahl a call. After years of research, he's finally gotten the answer to why so many people are so unkind, and the answer will surprise you. But first, here's a message from our sponsor.
The rules of federal parliament are changing. From April 1st, 2021, some behaviour will now be quietly condemned. Whether that's accidentally, quote, assaulting a silly drunk girl, or just wanking on a desk, the consequences of your actions could now be enforced with serious, thinly veiled threats. Like, you could lose your portfolio, lower the chances of pre-selection, maybe, or possibly even getting a telling off by a state premier. That's why the Prime Minister's Prime Minister for Female Complaints is introducing KnobKeeper. KnobKeeper provides relief for your upstanding member. KnobKeeper supports knobs with fully paid leave, so you can spend more time with your family, if you still have one, before coming back and fulfilling your promise to the Australian people while collecting $200,000 a year. Or your fully paid leave can be used to brief a team of lawyers so you can sue a trusted journalist who never mentioned your name for defamation. But remember, if you're not sure whether that upskirting photo or dick pic is appropriate, check with Jenny first.
Jenny has a way of clarifying things.
KnobKeeper, a helping hand for our big swinging dicks. Authorised by Irrational Fear on behalf of the Australian Government, Canberra.
First fear this week, Australia has missed its targets for vaccination. Now, I'm not saying that they've, injected everyone in their eyeballs. No, the state and federal governments have only vaccinated 600,000 people, missing the target set by the PM some months ago of 4 million, which is basically missing it by 85%, which is huge. The federal government has updated the target to 4 million by the end of April. In order to achieve that, they'll need to do the equivalent of 121,000 shots a day. And with music festivals cancelled, there's still even less opportunity to double up with other drugs. Fearmongers, how can the government meet their goal of 4 million doses by the end of April? Lewis?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think anyone who's ever listened to this podcast knows that we're pretty in glass houses when it comes to laughing at someone for only doing 15% of the expected job. So I want to be very clear in that as an Australian, I think we can all relate to that achievement. However...
Do you think this is going to Do you think this is going to big up the government in the eyes of regular Australians? Because they're bludging. I'm a bludger. Yeah,
That's
totally
right.
get it.
I think they'll just be like, why didn't you get to 4 million? And they're like, oh, mate, Easter long weekend. We knocked off pretty early on Thursday. We'll be back Tuesday, but, Tuesday's a short week. So really we're looking at maybe April 12. And I think most people can look at that and go, sure, I back that.
Kirsty, is this a big concern for you, not being able to get the shot sooner?
Oh, not necessarily for me, but I think someone should get it. Give it to someone.
Bleeding hearts over here. Give it to someone.
Yeah, just chuck it someone's way. It doesn't have to be me. I reckon, though, that what they need to do is train up all of the musicians that are out of work at the moment. Get them giving the jab out.
Mm.
Everyone who was supposed to play Blues Fest, retrain them as a nurse or doctor.
Absolutely. And they could go to medical school for 8 years and they'd be right up to speed in time.
Craig, you're in the hot spot of southeast Queensland. 3 cases. How are you coping?
I couldn't be further away from everyone, so it's pretty good. It's not that bad. And Queenslanders have this really... I'm from Western Australia. Queensland has this very weird, aggressive exception. The case of, they hear about this stuff. Oh, we got to wear a mask. Fucking... Yeah, all right. And then that's it. That's as far as the anger goes, and they move on. It's been great. The response has been great. And, but it's just interesting for me because... they're still not giving them out. We're trying to lift it. I mean, it's amusing for me. I ran 10K yesterday. I'm in pretty good nick. But just because I'm Indigenous and nearly 40, I get the vaccine before any of you motherfuckers. It's hilarious. But as far as getting up vaccinations, I don't know. Maybe you got to show a certificate or something. Like the only way you can watch Married at First Sight is if you get the jab or some shit like that. It's crazy that something this important, is that far behind a piece of shit show like that.
I actually love that idea, Craig. I think if you told everyone that it was lip filler instead of this is the Pfizer lip filler, and then you just we just need to test it out on your arm, and then think of it as Botox, but for your bicep.
Yeah. And anything that helps you, for some reason, we're actually worried about it. But as far as getting it out, man, and we're getting it for free. You know, I get why the Americans don't trust their system handing out needles. We should be fine.
This week's second fear, ladies, lock up your tradies because they could have rabies or worse, COVID-19. In perhaps the most Australian of COVID-19 stories, a Gold Coast tradie who works part-time as a stripper, most recently at a hen's night in Byron Bay, has been linked to the Queensland hospital cluster that sparked the latest lockdown. He's actually updated his routine. He now performs to Joe Cocker's hit, "You Can Leave Your Mask On." Thank you. I've got 2 shakes of the head. One nod from Kirsty.
You have no way of physically keeping us at this podcast, Dan. I will walk.
Yeah.
It's easy to blame the NBN and smoke out. It's easy. I reckon if Kamahl wasn't coming on a little bit later, you all would have walked. Fearmongers. Are stripper tradies essential workers, Craig?
I think so. I think for a bit it's really weird because this is the thing. My mum was supposed to come up and visit, and this guy being like, this is the whole scare that stopped. This, mum's in her late 60s. She was supposed to come up, and because of this case, she didn't make it into Queensland. She's going to stay out in Victoria, and not because she's scared of COVID, it's because she's worried she can't get a lap dance now. Like, mum she likes her oily booty. But the thing is, you hear stereotypes and you hear all these sort of ridiculous stories. Then you spend one night in the Gold Coast, you're like, this makes sense. Totally, what could happen.
The tradie has this iconic stranglehold on Australian culture. Do you think this has done any damage to the icon of the tradie, Kirsty?
No, absolutely not. Like, if anything, the part of the story that I'm most fixated on is that he went to visit his nana, and I'm like, he's a good boy. Like,
I didn't know that part of the
deeply
story.
moved. I think if anything, he's increased their standing in the community. Definitely, in my opinion, I love him.
Can you imagine his nana though hugging him and being like, coconut oil? It'd be so lovely.
It's definitely a very different reaction to the last time some suspected COVID cases came back into Queensland. The 2 girls who travelled up from Victoria haven't seen any sort of week-long front page spreads on the telly or the Herald Sun about the larrikin tradie stripper.
What are you implying there, Lewis? Right. That the girls' race affected the coverage in some way?
I didn't say that, Craig. Maybe if they were strippers, it would not have been better. Like, it's it was pretty it was pretty shocking.
We don't have that kind of media bias in this country, though.
No, of course not. I do, obviously the most interesting part, and as with all COVID things, it's always funny until it's not. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with the Byron Bay outbreak, because I don't know how much time you spent around there, but trying to get them to wear masks is going to be like feeding a toddler vegetables. Like, it is going to be one of the toughest challenges in human history.
If you told them that wearing a mask was cultural appropriation, though, they'd probably do it.
If you connected it to an Indian headdress, you mean? A Native American headdress, rather.
That's right, yeah. Everyone in Coachella's wearing masks, man. Everyone's got it's traditional Navajo dress.
I can't believe you're digging the boots into people that have just been robbed of Xavier Rudd. You terrorist. Hey, how dare you? How dare you? They've been through enough.
We've only had 20 chances a year for the last 20 years to catch him.
Oh, God. Yeah. I'm
This
still
week's-
trying to figure out how far I could go on this podcast.
Do you want to add anything, Craig? Go for it.
No, it's you know what it is? It's because I feel like Kamahl is listening, and I've always viewed him as like an uncle. And I'm kind of like, if Kamahl hears me say something bad, yeah, it'd be I think that's what's hanging over my head, to be honest.
I have to make a phone call to get him on, so it's okay. You're safe for the moment. This week's third Fear in Scientology news. Now, apparently, Australia's become a tax haven for the Church of Scientology. It enjoys tax exempt status in Australia, whereas in other countries like the UK, it actually has to pay tax. So, the Australian arm of the not-for-profit church between 2013 and 2019 has made a profit of $65.4 million. Which is insane. The church makes a profit of about 30%, more than companies on the Australian Stock Exchange. When it comes to per churchgoer, it has made $102,000 per churchgoer, whereas the Catholic Church has only made $5,600 per head. Now the total assets in Australia from the Church of Scientology totals $326 million. It kind of makes sense, with all these celebrities coming here to make these films, I guess. Fearmongers, to what extent does this make the Church of Scientology appealing to you? Kirsty, is this exciting for you?
Yeah, I signed up today after I read the article. Allegedly, they're claiming that they're putting all of that money into properties in which they can carry on their religious teachings. And I just want to get inside those properties. Like, they'll be palaces. I want to see what's happening in there. I want to swim in the infinity pool.
I don't know if you saw, there's a photo of the headquarters in Chatswood in Sydney. It used to be a campus of the University of Technology, Sydney, but now the Church of Scientology has bought it. They bought an entire university campus and turned it into their Australian headquarters. It's incredible.
I think like the big difference when you start thinking of the Catholic Church and Scientology, apart from Thetans, is I think, you look at all of the money that the Catholic Church has, and there's obviously there's a lot of bad, and let's all just accept that and park it. But if you're looking for the positives, there's a lot of songs, there's a lot of art. You can go and see some sculptures. You can pop into, you can go to Rome and wander around and have a look. You can they're ostentatious with their wealth in a way that you can go, I can see where my money's going. Whereas I feel like Scientology missed that trick. I would love to be able to go and see, the modern version of Da Vinci's David, where it's just a tiny little statue of Tom Cruise with his dick out. I feel like there's room out there.
I feel like they dropped all their money on surveillance equipment.
That's their art.
That's where it is. Yeah, they don't have any big gold statues. I'm with Kirsty though. As far as a career move, why not? What as a struggling comedian like myself, why wouldn't you sign up with science? I think they take less than most managers, and and you can't argue with the results. As far as
at a minimum,
and
Craig,
to be perfectly honest,
let's get them to produce our comedy festival shows in 2022 and just take it from there.
Yeah, fuck. All I need is a stool, and they always manage to make it expensive. But as far as religions go, let's be honest, it's not the weirdest one. And
name the weirdest one.
Look, where do we start? There's magic underpants. There's a dude that rose after 3 days. It's like, well, you can just keep going. No, in its perspective, though, all of these religions are like 2,000 years old. That's hilarious to me, anyway. I don't know. Just if you're looking for capital gains, Scientology. Fuck it, why not?
They actually, looking at this article, they actually structure it like how Google and Facebook and Apple all offshore their money. They give out loans to the other international arms of the business, and then they charge almost like franchise fees and licensing fees back to the other parts of the business. And so you kind of got this aggregate. It's like Australia is a place where they've they're storing the wealth of the entire church, because other tax jurisdictions mean that the money will go to governments.
Are you proposing a heist? Because I'm in.
Well, if other countries charge the Church of Scientology tax, maybe we should charge the Church of Scientology tax. Maybe that's a good idea. Lewis, you don't agree with that?
I mean, I feel like now the heists idea is out there. I'm pretty so on tax.
Yeah, but where are we breaking into?
Chatswood,
You just said that didn't have anything with stealing. But as far as like the craziest part was during your intro, Dan, when you mentioned you were actually comparing the profit of different kinds of churches.
Yeah, they
claim to be they claim to be an alleyway to God. It doesn't cost anything to talk to God. Why are they making any money at all?
Well, Craig, I want to let people know who are listening to this, particularly Scientologists and other people who join churches and give tidings. If you just give 10% of your income to the Irrational Fear Patreon, we can guarantee you a place in satirical heaven next to Lucille Ball and Dame Edna, who isn't dead yet, but will be soon. And, that's going to be a great place.
But will you produce our festival shows?
All right, let's
Is Dame Edna still going to satirical heaven? I thought maybe that position might have changed.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to satirical heaven.
Also, Lewis, you're going to have a word to Dan about the way he says Patreon.
I mean, I don't want to Patreonize him. You know what I mean?
I know. It's killing me. It's just grinding my gears every time he says it. Patreon. Stop it.
All right. On this week's Hang On a Sec. All right, let's do Hang On a Sec now. Now, this week's Hang On a Sec comes from Sky News Australia. Apparently, Gina Reinhart has launched a joke book. Gina Reinhart has launched a joke book. I'm going to play the news story. At any point you want to chime in, just say, hang on a second, I'll stop the tape. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works. Here we go. Here we go.
They say laughter is the best medicine, and mining magnate Gina Reinhart wants more of it to be shared.
These little bits
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
What does, before we even get to the insanity of this idea, that introduction makes no sense. She's not a doctor, so to say laughter is the best medicine, in what way is that even an appropriate introduction for a mining magnate? I'd have thought, you'd have gone something like, every comedian's looking for the gold and Gina's dug up heaps of it or something. You know what I mean? I haven't really thought about it, but I wouldn't have gone with medicine.
And if laughter is the best...
exactly where you stopped it. Sorry, I love that exactly the point where you stopped it. She looks like a witch.
Laughter is the best medicine, and we make medicine by getting a cauldron in the middle of the full moon and putting an eye of newt.
And if laughter is the best medicine, why aren't they doing 121,000 doses of Craig Quatermaine to people's houses?
Because you can't bottle that stuff for too long, unfortunately.
Shared.
These little bits of, humour to hopefully bring some smile to faces.
She began gathering jokes and stories for friends in hospital. Now they've been put together into a book to bring moments of joy to those who need it most.
People in this book.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah.
Kirsty, would you have done the corporate for this launch?
How much does it pay? Who's booking it?
Probably a ridiculous amount.
Look, I would have been seated. I wouldn't have done a set.
Craig, you would have been one of the prime candidates to do the corporate as a former person who worked in the mines themselves, surely.
Oh, look, okay. So I have taken dirty mining money several times. But in my defense, when I did feel guilty about making money of digging up my ancestral home, I bought myself a really nice pair of shoes. And I felt better. It was, you can't. No, honestly, mining gigs in WA, they pay so much. And it's after seeing this video and seeing who's present, and that is basically a junket, and that Sky, I'm pretty confident would be the only people reporting on it because they own half of that station. Yeah, I can't even imagine what the hell the MC got paid just to turn up and do that. And they're just, it's just because you grind their bones to make your bread doesn't mean you know how to make kids laugh. And she,
That's another take.
They may have died, but I think they have left us with things that are highly relevant for today.
It's a project close to her heart. Gina Reinhardt's Cambodian daughters designed the book cover
Hang
of
on a
Smiling
sec.
Faces.
Where'd you learn how to clap?
watching the polo, I assume.
Kirsty, she's Australia's richest woman. She pays people to clap for her. So, give her a break.
It was so frantic and vigorous. I hope she comes to my festival show.
They had a special message to share.
Got to
Craig,
admit,
did you-
though, she's probably not. I was going to say she's probably not the poshest, richest person to attempt comedy and suck at it.
Here we go.
Our motivation is driven by the fact that so many people in the world encounter happiness, losses, ill health, and so much more.
Oh my god!
We help to bring laughter, smiles, and joy to those people in need.
What was that? What was that movie rule that high school kids killed each other? That looked like the sequel.
The Gus Van Sant film, Elephant.
No. What was it called?
Lord of the Flies?
Sorry? It
Lord
was
of
like
the
a game show and they sent it. No.
Is it the Japanese one?
Hunger
The
Games.
Japanese one.
Hunger Games.
The Hunger Games.
What we've just realised is that this plot isn't original.
12 venues across the country hosting the launch.
Hang
of
on a second. Where is this journalist currently? Because it seems to me like she's in an empty pub. Is that the launch? Is the launch just the journalist and Gina Reinhardt in an empty pub?
I think she's in
So
it.
here's
Yeah.
the crazy thing about Sky News, right? Sky News, for all the money and everything they have pumped into it, all of their journos in regional states. So if that's in Perth or wherever it is, a lot of them are just VJs. So it's just the journalist and their camera. She's probably filming that herself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's why it's weirdly framed and shit like that.
Don't try to make me feel sorry for a Sky News journalist.
I'm not trying to. I'm telling you, that's exactly. Hey, fuck them. They know exactly what they signed up for. Evil pricks. There are options as VJs.
The magic of technology connecting speakers and guests. Those from Parliament House, the Royal Flying Doctor Service and Paspali attending virtually to share their favourite joke.
Hang on a sec. So the Royal Flying Doctors, journalists, people in Parliament House, and Paspali, the Pearl company.
That like Pearl company?
Yeah. What are they? What's going on there? Why is Paspali launching a joke book?
I imagine she'd just be one of their biggest customers. When you have a lot of pearls to clutch, you need to constantly be updating your pearl collection.
It's incredible.
Jokes and quotes.
If you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. Yeah.
Guests say laughter is
Hang on a sec.
desperate.
Is she logging that off as her own joke?
No, she's reading it from the book. Bronwyn Bishop was doing a reading from the joke book. No, none of these.
Is Gina flogging this off as her own? Or she's just literally gone on like Wikipedia jokes and stolen them? Like you'd be failed for this at university.
No, she absolutely has, and she's like taken memes from people's emails and put them in the book. Like there's one in there saying, with a mum pointing to a girl saying, "Listen here, little girl, if you got to stop lying, otherwise you'll become an ABC journalist." Like that's one of the jokes in the book. They're like right-wing shit posts put in book form to give Cambodian children some joy.
And that jab at the ABC is really gonna bring a smile to the face of someone in hospital.
That's right. Yeah.
Cool correctness.
Just sounds like a bunch of jokes they didn't have to pay copyright for.
Yeah.
Like for all the money they've got, they're stingy as fuck. And yeah, they would have just taken any bar joke they could have got their hands on that they could tell the kids.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like she's just kind of gone to the content mines and stolen all the jokes from the content mines and just pasted them in this book.
in an era of political correctness.
Keeping warm and enjoying the laughs. I mean, who doesn't need a laugh right now? Seriously.
Gina is a woman of the world, literally, and she's a great friend. And I just admire.
Hang on a second. Where does Bronwyn Bishop think the rest of women come from?
Definitely not the world. whatever planet Bronwyn Bishop's from. Who knows?
I was born in a helicopter flying from Melbourne to Geelong, so I was not really of the world. I was of the sky.
Here we go.
All profits from Jokes and Joys are going to the Cambodian Children's Fund, Shine Awards, the Royal Flying Doctor Service and Country Women's Association. Gabriella Power, Sky News.
And you can get a copy of that book from somewhere, and it helps all those kids. Good on them. That's nice. Very good.
I mean, obviously all the money that goes to the kids, the better. But how much do you reckon that money, how much do you think that book will make compared to how quickly she could have just given them the money?
It's going to make like $600. Like that's all it's going to make. I tried to look for a link to buy the book and you can't get the link anywhere. Like maybe she's trying to sell it, to her workers or something. I don't know.
She doesn't strike me as the kind of personality that has a fan base.
Yeah, Gina, if you need some strategy, we can help you out. You got to build an email list and a Facebook page and a Twitter account and push all your stuff to Patreon. That's how it works here. That's how the content game works.
Don't they get some sort of a tax write-off for charities and stuff that philanthropy like? By the way, the movie I was talking about was Battle Royale.
Battle Royale.
Got there eventually.
There it is.
But that would have been so much better 5 minutes ago.
I feel like Gina needs the Scientologists to manage this book distribution.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
When she bought part of Channel 10 in Perth, she actually had she hired protesters and manufactured the signs herself. Hired people to create basically a manufactured protest to be out the front of Channel 10 in Perth. It was the most shiniest, ridiculous protest I've ever seen in my life. And this is. I'm so embarrassed she's West Australian. I'm so embarrassed.
Aaron, can you say that again, Craig? She rented protesters to protest herself.
She rented protesters. Yeah, it was when she was purchasing part of Channel 10, and it was about a free press, and she basically had a whole bunch of people on the foreshore of Perth with signs that they made up that day. You could see, you go to a protest and you can see the handmade shit, and they're awful. These things were immaculate.
Right,
we could use them as
Craig,
for our Melbourne show. So,
Craig, would you have done that gig?
Absolutely, dude. I did a gig for what's his name? The other crazy wealthy one, Twiggy Forrest. I did a gig for Twiggy Forrest, and my great grandfather and grandfather are ancestral owners of where he mines. So I've already got all right, we're going to get issues. It was the weirdest shit. I do the gig. It was a ridiculous amount of money for 30 minutes, and I needed it at the time. I walk out, and Twiggy's there in this cream 3-piece suit with the biggest pair of fucking Beat wireless headphones, like these things, but wireless, and shiny red shoes and a big burgundy fucking Range Rover. And as I walk past him, he just goes, it was the weirdest experience of my life. They're not people, Kirsty. They're not, I don't know. I can pretend to be angry with them, but I can't fathom these fuckers. I have no idea how they operate.
Do you guys have your own jokes for Gina Reinhardt's joke book? I've written a couple. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
200.
200 who?
200 Korean workers on 457 visas working 84 hours a week at $16 an hour to build Roy Hill iron ore mine. Hey!
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like you could get brevity if you were just like, funniest joke, tax, end of book.
All right. Let's get Kamahl on the line. Here we go.
Just got nervous.
Let Craig do all the talking.
Good evening, Dan.
Hey, Kamahl. Here we go. Just doing your intro now, Kamahl. Joining us now is a man known to Irrational Fear diehard fans. Here's Kamahl. Welcome back to Irrational Fear, Kamahl.
Thank you. Glad to be with you.
Now, last week, during some press for Dancing with the Stars, Daryl Summers lamented that Hey Hey Saturday wasn't on TV anymore because of cancel culture, which meant you couldn't get away with good, clean fun. Then a guy on Twitter, John Patterson, published a clip from Hey Hey of yourself being bullied, and it went absolutely viral on Twitter. You're huge on Twitter now. You love Twitter. What did you make of that clip and seeing that old footage again?
It doesn't take much imagination to work out it was a bully. It was humiliating and degrading, given that the week after I was going to be at Carnegie Hall to do my second concert, it was I don't know whether it was an intended insult, but it could have been a little kinder, I thought.
Was it strange or kind of disconcerting at the time last week seeing it? Like, what did you think when you kind of saw this thing going around again?
No, look, what really happened, I think, is that when Harry Connick Jr. appeared on the show and there was a cartoon that said, "Where's Kamahl?" The next day, Channel 7 turned up wanting to know what I thought of the skit. And they wanted to know if it was racist. I said, no, not really. I mean, if you really want to talk about who's racist, I am more racist than Hey Hey Saturday, meaning in the real sense, I was brought up in Malaysia as a Sri Lankan, Malaysian-born Sri Lankan. And we had prejudices and racism of our own. I mean, the whiter you are, the better you are. The darker you are, the worse you are. In fact, my family stopped me from playing cricket because it was the sun would make me darker. But we have weird kind of prejudices in Asian countries as well. So I think maybe the reason, I mean, I'm trying to work out why it was necessary for them to humiliate me. And I think it was a form of a tall poppy syndrome because it was my second concert there. And I think I told them that Bob Hope was going to introduce me. And it was trying to their way of dealing with a tall poppy, and especially a black tall poppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I noticed Daryl Summers has never performed at Carnegie Hall.
Not even once, I don't think. No, but then on the contrary, I think he's a very, very talented man. You know, I mean. I really don't know because at the moment there have been all sorts of negative and positive comments in there. There was a lady who's a program manager of a radio station said that what the fuss that I was talking about because I was being powdered every time I appeared on the lily pad. I don't know who this person is, but she claims she's a program manager. I mean that's rubbish. I had a wonderful time on the big day out, and Sahara Herald was in charge, and a friend put me on there year after year for nearly 9 years. So we are getting this weird reaction to this thing.
Yeah, I remember watching Hey Hey as a kid and seeing it at the lily pad. I think the lily pad was an amazing part of your career.
Yeah, in fact, when I find out who this lady is, you can tell her. Maybe obviously she never attended it. Maybe she wasn't even born then. But I think I'm getting sort of crazy claims. At the same time, there was there was a guy who said, I'm 32 years old. But he said, "Oh, my mother is still hot about you." I mean, there's some wonderful, beautiful, generous comments and very funny ones as well.
You should have seen Kirsty Webeck's tweets when she found out she was going to be on the show with you, Kamahl. Kirsty, do you have anything to say to Kamahl?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan, Kamahl, and when I told my parents I was coming on the podcast with you, they were adamant that I was to tell you that they're massive fans and they've loved every single thing you've ever done.
Well, I think they have good taste anyway, especially in having a daughter like you.
You gem.
I really, the thing is, in a way, this has been a, sort of a disguised form of blessing. I mean, I haven't had this much reaction, positive, 90% positive in my 86 years of, not 86, I'm 86 years old now, but I started doing this 64 years ago. And it's amazing.
64 years in show business and still going. That is such staying power. That's really great.
Well, the thing is, it's the good taste of the Australian audience.
Kamahl, can I ask? Because I didn't get a chance to watch Hey Hey when it was on. It was not really in my not quite my time. But watching that clip that I did see last week was horrifying, and I could only imagine what it was like for you to see it again and to think about all of that again. But what did you, if you don't mind me asking, think about like when Daryl Summers apologized? Did that, because obviously you would have known him for a long time. What did you think of that?
No, I mean, I suppose, he was the host of the show. I mean, he could have, I didn't mind so much the hit in the face with the powder, with the white powder. But what did disappoint me more than anything else is the fact they didn't bother to make a little bit of a fuss that what I was doing next week in New York with doing a show for the second time. That I don't know whether it's a troll puppy syndrome or what it is. That I don't know. So that's I'm more interested in that than being hit in the face with it. I wouldn't have minded taking the hit, provided they balanced it with some generous reporting.
I love it. I love it. You weren't so upset about being hit in the face with a chalk duster, but worried that you couldn't sell tickets in Carnegie Hall because they didn't plug it?
I mean, that's the way things are. But then politics is worse, I believe.
Yeah. Now, you are a massive US politics fan, and we've had you on the podcast to talk US politics in the past. Do you want to give Biden and Harris a quick score out of 10 right now? How do you think they're going?
No, I think, Biden, they were all sort of putting him down, but I think he's doing better than expected, much better than expected. And he tripped down the stairs or up the stairs. But they don't talk about the blunder and the 550,000 Americans dead. And if there was a better leader, maybe only about 15% of that amount would be dead. Trump had he's the catastrophic failure as a leader. And somehow, and he has the audacity or the nerve to say he wants to be president again. And there are 75 million people who possibly support him. I mean, if that's not crazy, I don't know what is.
Did you see, Kamahl, that he's trying to start his own social media platform? Have you read this story?
Oh, I mean, how much of it is real? The thing is, there was an article about Jeffrey Epstein and him. I think Jeffrey Epstein died in the cell. I don't know whether he was killed or he died of natural causes. But I think if when the truth eventually comes out, I think Trump might be painted as even a more dangerous criminal. I think, and how that can be covered up, I just don't know.
Now, Kamahl, do you have any gigs coming up you need to plug? Because, we don't want to be accused of doing what making sure you don't have upcoming dates well publicized.
Kamahl, sorry, I got to jump in before because it's so weird. Sorry, it's Craig here. I grew up in Kununurra in the East Kimberley of Western Australia. You were the first brown guy I ever saw on TV as well. Just being an Indigenous Australian, it was just nice to see someone different on that show. That was the only thing we could watch because we had one channel. And for you to go through all this right now, I'm really interested to know, though, are you surprised that people are shocked that there was racism in those periods where you were on TV. Isn't that reaction the most amusing part?
Yeah, I mean, look, racism or the prejudice of any kind, you've got to be carefully taught. If you ever saw the movie South Pacific, we are not born racist. I think, but I think we have to be carefully taught, and we believe a lot of things that are untrue. We as a human beings, we grew up believing the earth was flat. It took us years, thousands of years to find out it is a sphere. And similarly, there are a lot of things, let's say, in politics and religion, especially religion, there are 4,000 or 4,500 religions. But there's only one God. And I have my own view of what it is. And at the end of the day, what really matters is truth. To be true to yourself. I mean, even if you have to tell a few fibs, but be true to yourself. Hello?
Yeah. So we're all just taking a moment to ponder your words of wisdom, Kamahl.
I'll be honest, Kamahl, your voice is so iconic. There's a huge part of me that's still like, I feel like it's an impression. I feel like it's not really you, but yeah, I'm taking that as well. But just such an iconic voice. It's crazy to be talking to you.
I was just thinking about all the fibs I've told lately.
I'm hearing 3 or 4 voices at the same time, and I'm trying to find out you're going to ask me anything else, or you want to call it quits now?
Oh, no. Does anybody else have any questions for Kamahl before we wrap up? No, all good. Kamahl, thank you so much for joining us on Irrational Fear. You've always been a great part of our show. From episode 1, you were on our show.
Okay. By the way, what do you consider a rational fear? What can I be afraid of?
Well, the name Irrational Fear stems from the idea that the media is making us scared of things all the time, and often all the wrong things. And Irrational Fear is a name that implies that there is something you should be scared of. The media is not talking about, which is what things we talk about on this show, which is mostly climate change. That's the big thing we talk about all the time.
Okay. I mean, I think we should only be afraid of untruth, not the truth.
Disinformation.
Yeah, misinformation, yeah. Be careful of that.
Coriander.
Anyway, thank you for having me on.
Kamahl, it's great to be with you. Do you have any shows coming up you want to plug?
Yeah, in fact, there's a kind of an anniversary in Liverpool. I'm doing like 2 shows 1 day apart, and it's near, it's a whole lot of retired, senior citizens. So I'm looking forward to that. I can't tell you exactly what it is. It's 2 shows. One is 2 days apart.
Excellent. A big thanks to all of our guests for tonight. Craig Quatermaine, Kirsty Webeck, Lewis Hobba. Do you guys have anything to plug? Craig, will you get to do any comedy festival shows coming up?
Sorry, yeah. Oh, no, that's the only reason I'm here, bro, because I got nothing to plug. No, that's not true. No. Just keep an eye out. I've got a new show called Historically Accurate, planned Perth runs and Sydney runs and Melbourne runs, and they've just all come unstuck because of COVID. But the show is called Historically Accurate. It's my latest hour. I'm very, very happy with it. And don't be cowards. Come and watch.
Yeah. Kirsty Webeck, what have you got to plug? You've got a few shows coming up.
I do indeed. So I have a show called Chakasiki opening on April 6th in Melbourne for the Comedy Festival. And it's 14 shows from the 6th to the 18th. And it's on at 6:10 p.m. each night at Comedy Republic. Come along. Also, follow me on social media. I'm really good at it.
And
I should have said social media too. Damn it.
You can. You're still on, mate.
Not too late, Craig. Get it out there.
Wait. No, damn it. See, the brown guy doesn't get reshed. Kamahl was right.
I remember Craig, when you came to Tassie with us for Triple J and did some comedy, and your clip that you did was so successful that it basically did they take it down?
3 million views. ABC Comedy went under, and so did my video. I only just got that. I
Yeah.
only just got it back. Yeah,
You're
so I
kidding
blew
me.
up and then got tucked away. Yeah.
What a scandal.
Am I still? I'm
Yeah. Oh, we've still got Kamahl here. Hello, Kamahl. We're still there. Yep.
Yeah, if I may inject something slightly sober, are you prepared for it?
I think so. Is everyone prepared for a sober Kamahl? Yeah, I think we
Yes.
are. Yes, go for it. Go for it,
I'm
Kamahl.
ready.
Well, I mean, these are the few words that sustained Nelson Mandela for 27 years in prison. It's a poem called Invictus. Goes something like this. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Your play of wrath and tears looms at the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Kamahl.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Craig Quatermaine. Thank you so much, Kirsty Webeck. Thank you so much, Lewis Hobba. We've got shows at the Melbourne Comedy Festival, April 11th. Big thanks to Road Mics, the Bertha Foundation, Patreon supporters, the Discord crew for jokes. Big thanks to Dave Bluestein, Kate Holdsworth, Killian David, voiceover this week from Bronwyn Morgan. Until next week, there's always something to be scared of. And Kamahl, do you have a catchphrase you want to end the show on?
What was that?
Why are people so unkind?
No, why so many people are so unkind?
Thank you.
Why so many people are so unkind?
Thank you very much.
That's the right statement.
Until next week, there's always something to be scared of. Good night. Thanks, Kamahl.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Kamahl. You're the best.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Bye. Oh, that was great. Oh, what do you think
Is
of
he
Kamahl, guys?
actually gone this time?
He's gone.
Can you
He's
confirm to me that he's gone?
He's gone. He's not on the phone anymore. He's gone.
Oh, my God.
Are we still recording?
We're still recording.
Oh, wow. That was...
Right.
Man, I don't know if you meant
As
to
much
leave
as I
him
want
up
to
or not.
debrief this, I've got 3 minutes till my episode of Backroads goes on air, so I'm going to bounce. But
We're going to
do it.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you guys so much. It was
was
fun.
great.
Take it
Thanks,
easy.
legends.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
Superstars. Very funny show. Thank you.
Great work. See you, Kirsty.